before they bring you back on to the force that you need to correct your behaviors, where it's a plan designed with all human beings in mind. The reason what I do right now is I'm always talking about the Negro race, because I want Negroes out there to understand that you come from a very powerful history and very powerful people. And when I use the word Negro, I'm just letting you know that you can be from Africa and you can still be any color, any race. But if you're a Negro race, people relate that to people that have come out of slavery. Your ancestors have come out of slavery, that were being murdered, tortured, and butchered, and just killed just on the strength because people said, well, we can do that because I own this human being. And we're treated like we had no rights, no minds, and weren't able to think or be credited for thinking. And so then people just demand that you perform certain functions, and if you didn't, they would hunt you down, murder you, or bring you back and put you back into slavery, and then would rape your daughters or your children or whatever they did. It didn't make no difference because people were just saying they're just Negroes, they're just human beings that can be done that to, and a lot of people didn't go for that, and that's why America then came to our aid to try and help out. But for over 100 years, a lot of things that supposedly had gotten done didn't get done, because still to this day it's 2016, and things that need to get done, it hasn't still been done today. Or a lot of people want to get things accomplished, but it hasn't. That's what happened to that when we talk about our equal rights, when we're supposed to be getting jobs or have jobs extended to us, that we'll get a job, but if we have a job and we're not making the kind of money that people before us made, then there we are. We are still struggling, trying to come forward and move forward, but trying to work with piddlings of money or little or no money at all. And I had a gentleman here that just was sharing with me that, can I say your name? Okay, Brother Steve, which is a wonderful gentleman that's been helping out, and he's doing all kind of wonderful things with PCM and with POFO Community for Justice. He runs our soundboard and does other wonderful things here. But he's traveled all over the world, and he's been a teacher all over the world. Can I say all over the world? So he's done wonderful things. I'm very proud of him. I wish he wasn't shy. He'd be a wonderful person to talk to. I don't think he's shy, but people are a little bit negative about getting on camera or getting on television. But I can see that they have a lot of wonderful information to share with you people out there in cyberspace, and I know you wonderful people out there have a lot of wonderful information, and I'm very thankful for Brother Steve. I'm always looking for Negro, colored, Black, African Americans to come and help out on my show and to help move us or advance us forward. And this brother's been a great asset to us. And his family's from down south, and they're wonderful and they're magnificent. He's traveled a lot and he does a lot of different things. And him and his family, they enjoy themselves. And I think he's just a wonderful brother and educated brother. And I'm very pleased with him. And to my right is Brother Ron, which has been with me for years, doing shows. So you see, when I have white people that work with me that do great things, they're my brother and we're families. And I think the world of them, just like Brother Steve. And he's an African American, a Black, Negro, colored African American, and does wonderful things with me. And he helps advance my show forward. And when I say my show, because it's all of our show, whoever you are on the planet, I don't care. This show is your show, and you're a voice to be heard, and you someone to be respected. And you're going through life, and I was going to talk about the people, which is the Koch brothers, and they're very wealthy and have money, and they're polluting, doing all kind of different things, and they're trying to do all kind of things to shut down the educational system as far as people trying to do segregation about people don't need to be bused, but they need to be bused because Negro, colored, Black, African Americans are getting a layup on going to new communities and being exposed to different thoughts and ideas and be able to get to a level of higher education. That's why Negro, colored, Black, African Americans are being bused all over the place, and they were trying to shut that down. Everybody in their own little subtle way is always trying to figure out how to continue to maintain their richness and all their money. And I'm not mad at people having money, but people are used to poor people paying their bills. And they used to rich people saying, look, if there's a way that my lawyer can talk me out of a situation, talk myself out of losing money, then I'll go along with my lawyer. But the poor people don't have that option. They either pay or get further condemned or put in a worse hardship than what they're in. So it's still so very important that we work with one another and that we push forward. And even though we don't have a lot of money or no money at all, we still have a voice that can make a difference. So when people are trying to get us to start all that, making up voters cards or things of that nature, that was just a ploy to segregate poor people by not being able to vote because they don't have the right identification, or they can't afford a voter's card or all that other stuff, or can't prove who they are. They're American, they should be able to take their birth certificate or something to show that they're an American, or if that's what is calls for. But you don't have to get a whole new set of credentials to show who you are or what you are. But there should be a ton of things to show that you've been around forever. And it's so very important that you need to know that. And there's so many people in a hardship type lifestyle. So I'm talking about people that have been prostitutes, hookers, and hoes, and whatever titles you want to attribute to them, that they've been in that situation, and because of drugs and alcohol and all these other things that are detrimental to people's health, that these are hardships that they're suffering as well. So when you're poor and you don't have no money, you're laying up because it's nice to feel good for that few minutes when people are trying to chase down an orgasm or trying to be made to feel good or promise that, well, you're my girlfriend or you my boyfriend, and those titles will put them in a position to do worldly things, and they'll do those things, and then the person will dump them the following week or the following day or whatever it takes, or the following years. But I believe in marriage, and I believe in people being together and joining together as one, and that's what I'm pushing, and I've always pushed. I've been married many times, and I believe in being married. I believe in family and children and bringing them into the world and doing wonderful things, and very grateful to God Almighty that I've been blessed enough to have wonderful wives and to have been married. I may not be a wonderful husband, but I think I'm a wonderful husband, but that's just who I am. But I'm a person with a made up mind. So when people have problems, people don't want, when they get married, they think, well, we can forget about everybody else and we need to concentrate on us. But my life has been that everybody's family and we all need help. And when people would normally call on me, or people like myself, they would go and check the situation out to try and bring about resolve. And that's what life is all about. I'm always trying to bring things to resolve. And the people that I know or people that I dealt with, they're like that as well. So when people are doing evil things and that they need to be dealt with, I'm well aware of people that'll be more than happy to step in and help deal with the situation or try and help to resolve the situation. So when I hear these stories about marijuana and people made that a Schedule I drug, it was just another form of trying to destroy poor people. Marijuana is not like cocaine or heroin or hash or all those other different things that a person can get addicted to, or different little drugs. I can't think of the names of them because I don't do no drugs, but the things that cause people to have to, instead of being progressive, they become regressive in their behaviors because they become addicted. And you know a lot of famous people that have died that are famous people. Generally, when you're famous and you got money, people just let it just go on, and then they feel sorry for you because you've died early in your life and you didn't live a full life because you had given yourself over to the care of the world. And that is a sickness that needs to be addressed, and it needs to be dealt with as a sickness and not as a jail sentence or a prison sentence. But that's what the system is designed to do, is arresting more people because it's all about the money. And that's the sad thing about it. It's all about the money. And that's how we got all the CCA and all these other prisons, because they're paying people to house people in prison and then work them for slave wages, and it's another form of slavery. When you're in prison and you're working for piddlings or a little bit of money per day, that's all you have. And they work your way into these great jobs, and most people that are greedy, that love money or appreciate money, they don't care how many people that are lives are lost or destroyed because they're still trying to run their business. And if they can hire 3 or 4 people for the same price they can hire one person for, they'd be more than happy to, all the prisoners can get a job. And they'll steady keep locking them up people and destroying people's lives, using marijuana as a justification to have locked up many, many poor people because they smoke marijuana. And marijuana, they already know, the drug administration knows that marijuana is not it shouldn't be in the schedule, should have never been in the Schedule 1 category, but that was all about attacking poor people, especially the Negro, colored, black, African Americans, which was putting people in prison for years and years. And they would put a lot of white people in prison too, but the numbers would always, where it came to the Negro, colored, black, African American, would further supersede going to jail as far as the differentiate between white and black. And it was sad because Mexicans and everyone else, they would get put in prison or awful things would happen to them. And I'm just saying that all people that when their money is funny or don't have a lot of money, that it was just easy targets. And so all the different presidents throughout the years, all they did was we need more money to lock these people up because they're committing crimes and doing horrible things. But that was what was the justification, and that's the thing about what we do nowadays. We create all these phony beliefs of war on drugs, war on terror. It used to be them using the war on communism, but that kind of played itself out. So now we're just going to war on terror. So now we just Saddam Hussein or Bin Laden, we just act like those individuals that used to be assets to America or the United States, that used to work for the United States and do all kind of evil things, and was holding people back. And then we set up a deal to say these are the people that are doing horrible, wretched things, and go in and take over that country or go into that country and kill, like in Afghanistan, millions of people. For what? If you're looking for Saddam Hussein or Bin Laden, then they were more than happy to have given him up. But that wasn't the issue. The issue was we just need to justify the rich get richer and the poor gets poorer, that trickle-down system. By the time the money trickles down to the poor people, the value of the money has been lost. And that's how it's always been. And that's what's going on to the day. It's a real cute kind of conversation, the trickle-down system. That's all con and shenanigans that people use, and they get in your face and they talk real sweet to you, but they're just saying things that they're trying to get you to believe that, boy, if that wish some of this money would trickle down to me. But by the time it gets to you, it's already lost its value, its worth. You're still buying things way beyond the price of how when it finally got to you. But when people are rich, they get first dibs at the money, and they're able to buy things for little or nothing and then regurgitate or resell them at a higher price to the people on the trickle down level. Is there they are. Now you can buy it, but now you need to pay 4 or 5, 10 times more than what it's worth or what the value of it is when the money finally got down to your level of operation. So please pay attention, and please start coming on Pope Folk Community for Justice and speak your heart. And whatever you want to talk about, you're welcome to do so. And I've had people that have come on Pope Folk Community for Justice, and that's their home. Pope Folk Community for Justice is all our homes. This is what they need to talk about. And when they do a show, it works like this. If you do a show like today is the 12th of it's the 12th of this month. So if you do a show on the 12th, then your show, if you did it that day, then if you look on the internet, then that show, that whatever you performed or whatever you did or spoke on, if you need to show it to whoever is important to you to try and move your situation forward. That show, you can show it to anybody and everybody, but it will have froze that moment for you in time and space and time. And that's what's very important. You need to freeze those moments instead of talking in the booth in the back in the dark to somebody about somebody and kick the liners out of your drawers with you in them. Now you can find out, you can speak on who did it, what it was about, when it took place, why and how come, or from your standpoint, or why and how come. And then if you want to submit the tape to someone that'll help you further your cause, you can do that. And that's very, very important that you can use these opportunities to freeze a very significant moment in your life to where you're just mumbling to yourself or talking to friends and they talk you out of speaking your heart. You need to learn to speak your heart and tell the truth and convey the truth and then stand by the truth. And if you don't, at least have it on the air and everybody and their mama can see it for what it is. And whoever did whatever they did to you, or if they're still doing whatever they're doing to you, that if it's time for them to suffer the consequences of their illegal behavior or sad or evil behavior, then that is a moment of your tape coming forward and your conversation coming forward, and however many witnesses you could gather that maybe would come that day when you did your show, but the following day or the following month or year, they may not be able to come. But you will still have a frozen moment or a tape where they will have told the truth or said what you felt would be better described or in your favor, because people can be won over that if people can try and help bury your situation. You don't want that to happen. But so just learn to freeze information and leave it for others to study it and see it and do what they need to do with it. And if you have talent, you're welcome to come on my show and demonstrate your talent. And if your songs are worthless, then so what? But if you did it or sang it or whatever you did or played it, whatever you did, we have studios that got all kind of equipment that can be checked out or used to help make whatever you're trying to make take place. And we got all these cameras to help you get out whatever message you're trying to get out and help you to further solidify whatever you're doing. So if you can't afford to buy all the equipment to perform the functions, PCM has all the equipment or tons of equipment, and we have equipment that we can go out on site and do different things to help you move forward. So, or I know tons of people here that would be happy to go out and help you move your situation forward. It's very important to not just take this POFO community for justice for granted or take anything for granted. It's June 12th, and I just want you people to know that when I was saying June, the June 12th is what it is. Because I'm doing a tape right now for a show that I did weeks ago, and I didn't want to say May because we're in June 12th. Today is June 12th, Sunday. God Almighty love you, and I love you too, and I just want you to know that. And I did have a stroke a long time ago, but I want you people to know that even if you had a stroke, you can still come and talk to people. And if you get lost in your thoughts, maybe your thoughts will come back to you as the show progresses, and maybe you can explain things more clearly and then get your point across that way too. So it's very important. And the reason why I tell you about me, because if I don't tell you about me, then you won't know what to think about yourself. So I want you to think a lot about yourself, and I use myself as an example because I don't have no qualms about me having had a stroke or anything of that nature, and I take great care of myself. I'm in great shape, and I do what it takes to help people to move forward, and that's what I want you to learn to do or to continue to do to help people to continue to move forward. And we got a lot of wonderful people that'll be more than happy to help you keep moving forward. A lot of material I was going to read today. I did a lot of stuff, but because my glasses, which I have some glasses that I'm going to get some brand new glasses on the 16th, or at least get a prescription, and then I'll be able to read this material. But it makes it difficult for me to read it to you now, so I've been looking at it and going over it, and a lot of things that I've studied, and a lot of information that, like when I talked about the Koch brothers, those people it's shows that are playing on Ustream that bring you more in alignment with what they're doing. And because when you're not just filthy rich, but when you're billionaires, you got tons of money and you come up from certain kind of backgrounds where they believe in taking advantage of people, and it's just a way of life. But you need to know that don't let your mind get vexed like that, or get your mind in a mindset where you spend millions of dollars to try and get people to sway their opinions as far as education is concerned. That's what I'm saying. Everybody needs to go to schools that have the best equipment and all the information available to them, because their parents got great jobs, so they're making $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 a year, $200,000 and $300,000 and $400,000 a year, or $500,000 a year, or millions of dollars a year. Those are the schools that you can get yourself bused to. And if you're there, you're rubbing elbows with people that are very fortunate, and that you have access to the same books and access to the same knowledge. And that knowledge is very important. And knowledge is power, and knowledge is what you need. And that is what I'm saying to you people out there in cyberspace. So no respect to person. I love all people, and I love helping all people, and I pay attention to all people. But I want people to know that no matter what your race is, a lot of people, as time goes on, they'll accept you into the fold. Believe that a lot of African Americans, Negro, colored, Black African Americans, when they went into the service, they were treated indifferently, but as time went on, people became a kinship, like a family, because people saying, you're watching my back and I'm watching your back, and you're saving my life and I'm saving your life. And that's no place to be acting a zip damn fool at that time, when bullets are flying overhead, and the person that could save your life is someone that could just turn around in a flash and find out that someone's trying to take your life and save you. And those things will establish a bond or a kinship. And that's what we do as human beings. We need to stand with one another, because we got tons of people that are being played out of pocket. The water is being poisoned because the Koch brothers, they are making all kind of money, and all kind of oil, all kind of great things going on. And when they're polluting the water, doing horrible things, and then like President Bush, he's forgiven them. They got a ton of charges, 95 charges against them, and he reduced it down to one charge, and it was over 300 some million dollars he was going to fine them, and he broke it all the way down to $20 million. That's like a drop in the bucket to them, because they're making $1 million a day, and so just 20 days worth of money, if out of their surplus money. So it's like nothing to them. So when people have lots of money, they can make moves like they make and do great things, and they don't, with no respect to person, because they're saying, look, we're not worried about you poor people, and we will act like we care about you. But the reality is, when you're watching people die at 40, 45, and 30, and 50, and in their early years, because of the pollutants in the soil, or the air is not breathable, but there's nowhere else to go. Because if you bought a home somewhere, and then you got rivers that have been polluted, and water that's not drinkable, and is all because that these people that are wealthy are like saying, well, so what? So we got all this poison running into these different rivers, and drying up different rivers, or whatever the case may be. So what? And that's the sad part about how people turn their back on human beings. They're silly enough to think that the world's resources won't run out, but they're destroying the resources as they go, because they're so concentrated on trying to have money that they're not paying attention to the bigger picture. And that's what you need to pay attention to. So a lot of time people are just evil and just love harming people, or not thinking twice about it. And that needs to be dealt with. And so when I'm speaking about all human beings, I look at a lot of different movies where people have sons and daughters, and they're out there tricking and laying up with people and performing these worldly acts on people, and they're trying to come up. So people are making these adjustments with their lives, because they're just trying to have some money, just to eat, just to survive. But you got so many people, millions of people that are homeless, and they don't have nowhere to go, and they'd have to build a home every minute, because the price of homes and everything is going up so outlandishly that these are the kind of things that are going on, is that everything is just so out of sync, but nobody's bothered by it because people are just building these apartment buildings all over the place, and people are living on top of each other side by side, or walk out of their apartment directly into your apartment, just knock on the wall and tell you good morning or whatever the case may be. But that's the sad part about in America. We got those kind of horrible things going, and we got other people are fighting to get into this country because they're thinking it's going to be really great, when they really look around and they look and find out they got people living in bushes, and they got tents all over the place. You can ride up of Vancouver Street, or right up the street from the Memorial Coliseum or the Rose Quarter, and can see people have tents in the bushes when you're driving up that street, getting ready to come up Williams Avenue. And people are just living wretchedly and horribly, and Americans are trying to hide that reality, but it's not to be hid, because people are saying, I'm going to put a tent up because I need somewhere to stay, and I don't want to be laying in the cold or laying in the mud. And I bought a tent, and this is for me and my family, and this is where I'm at. And this is my little piece of plot of land, and I'm going to claim it as mine and live on it as mine. And the police is trying to figure out what are we going to do with them, because where do we move the people to? They're all the places that if you're on Section 8 or can get on housing, there's such a long waiting list for years a person to get on housing. So if you're hungry and you need somewhere to live, waiting is not an option. I mean, you still need to eat, sleep, and crap that day, or that next day, or whatever the case may be. You definitely need sleep where it's safe. So when people are doing things to keep themselves safe, people are doing horrible things to them, or trying to stay away from people doing horrible things to them. So I'm just saying, as human beings, we need to work together. And when I speak on Negro, colored, black, Afro-Americans, I want us to understand we have a very rich history that we worked for nothing. We're not going to do no catch up when people talking about, well, we're all equal, we all are coming up together. That'd be like starting a race, and it'd be like the 100-yard dash. Or I'm just using that as an example. So if you were a slave for 400 years, and let's say the race was 100 or a 5-mile dash or a 2-mile dash or a 100-mile dash, it doesn't make no difference, because 400 years or 500 years that have expired, these people are still playing catch up or will have died in the process. So I'm just using that as a figure of speech. So when people have gotten jobs and people are saying, well, now you get to work till you're 70 years old. It used to be 65 years old and you can retire and get all your money. But now the Koch brothers and people like that have pushed it, because they create enough chaos and get enough people unsympathetic be saying, yeah, because the money is run out. The Social Security money is not run out. It's still strong to this day. But you hear people talking because they're like robots, repeating the same lies or the same non-truths to every and anybody. And when you got weak minds, you pretty much buy into this foolishness and be like, well, the money is all running out, when it's not really running out. These are people just trying to say, but if you can let us take advantage of your money and we'll start investing it for you. And then, like a lot of people, the money of the investment will have disappeared and you have nothing to show for it. So the Social Security is in place, and let it be in place. And if there's ways to make people's lives better, then do that. But when you got $20 million homes and different homes that you can live in and properties that you can live on, and your money is strong, you're not worried about nobody or nothing. But when your life is on the line, and that was one of the Koch brothers, he was did this big building. He had $500,000. He built a building and did all this great stuff, and he was happy because his health had gotten better. So he had cancer, and then he was cured. Because when you got money, it just makes a big difference. But when you're poor, you got to settle for whatever kind of medication that they give you. And so you take the generic medication. And nowadays, because people are selling or making synthetic drugs, and you're just trying to save money. Sometimes people are making these investments when saying, well, I'll take this particular drug that looks like the right kind of drug, but it isn't. And later on, you've died because it had all kind of poisons in it that had destroyed your body, and your life is taken. So I'm just saying that there's a lot of things that I watch and a lot of movies that I watch, and the reason why I do that is because I just want to be be informed to let you know what's going on right now today in 2016 at this second or at this very moment. And I had, like I said, again, a lot of stuff that I was going to read to you, but I'll get some more glasses and read this stuff in the future. But I'm still going after U.S. Bank, and I'm still going after Aquin, and I'm still going after Millennium Group that they say, well, they've been dissolved, they're no longer around. But I'm still trying to get attorneys, senior citizen attorneys, and they have one place out there on 40th and Sandy, and then the Urban League, which is on Russell and Vancouver. They are supposed to have senior citizen lawyers, or that help senior citizens. And so whatever your situation or financial situation will be, that hopefully they can talk to you or guide you through to get to the end result of what you're trying to accomplish. So I'm not just trying to get you to get lawyers that are trying to help you make out wills and do silly stuff before you're dismissed off the planet. I'm trying to bring people to justice, and I'm still trying to push this $16 billion lawsuit that hopefully somebody will come forward to try and help out on. But then I do these shows all the time, but people get real quiet. Shush is the word, because they're all for your success if you do get a chance to get a lawyer to come forward to sue these people, because these are crimes that have been committed against me, and if it's been done to me, it's been done to you, and I'm just a living, breathing example of what's been done to me. And I'm trying to bring these people to justice, and no one's really trying to give a listening ear, because if it says, well, a person committed a crime against me, and if it's only for piddlings of money, I'm trying to say, well, then we'll arrest them and put them in jail. That's how the system works. But when you're trying to save your property or your land, or trying to come up as a human being, they are a little skittish about that, because no one is trying to help Negro, colored, black, African Americans, or poor people, period, try and save their property. You're saying, well, it's just another one bite the dust. But when people commit fraud against you, or all kind of illegal crimes against you, those crimes need to be dealt with. And that's where you think, well, I should be able to go to the law and get them to come to bring these people to justice, because I'm a victim of a crime, and no one's trying to do nothing, because they're trying to act like, well, when you're trying to save land, that's like different than if somebody hit you upside your head, or ran into you with a car, or did something with penny ante, as far as they're concerned. Because they themselves would like to come and acquire your land, or be in the position to take land, because as this plan is, the land is steady, the same, but the earth is the same size, and it's all these people are building houses on that same land. Like my property, I could build 2 houses on the property, and so people are like, well, whoa, we just can't wait for him to lose that, and we're not trying to lift a finger for him to do great things. And silly people will write me and be saying, well, oh, I would like to buy your land for me and my wife. These are people with futuristic plans. Next thing you know, I look around there, they'd have 3 houses on the property and do all kind of things, and trying to have people come and do the work and things of that nature for them. I'm trying to take advantage of what I have in my possession right now, so I can do great, wonderful things for my children, and for their children, and for their grandchildren, and all these other things. So I'm just trying to keep the property in the Hatchett family name moving forward and doing great things, not trying to let people trying to trick me or con me into losing my property. And when people try and do these chapter 13s and trying to beat you out of your property, they think, well, he'll just give up making these outlandish payments to us because we know we're wrong as 2 left shoes, but maybe he'll just quit and we'll just get it and look straight faced about the matter. But I'm really am in the fight to play to win and gonna win. And that's what it's all about. So all you wonderful Americans and all you wonderful human beings, stand your ground, stand up and be counted, and stay strong and don't be afraid. And the whole deal is they're trying to think, well, they're just ignorant black people, ignorant colored people, ignorant Afro-American people, or ignorant Negroes, or whatever the case may be. I'm from the Negro bloodline, and I love my Negro parents, and I'm used to the kind of suffering that they've been through. So when they removed the word Negro out of the books and tried to take and wipe that all out because it's trying to clear themselves of all the evil things that they've done to the Negro race. And I'm trying to say, no, no, no. We're going to have to answer that, and you're going to be responsible to the Negro race for all the evil, hideous things you've done. So people like Pastor Mary, that's been around, and her dad's over about 114 or 112 years old. I don't know his age, but he's still living. They got property in Mississippi, and she's done a couple of shows on my show, and I did several shows with her on her show about land that they own and still own. And then the state will come and acquire the land or do whatever, but they need to be compensated. I myself need to be compensated, not because I lost the land, it's because I should be able to get whatever kind of money that I want to get against the use of my land, and be able to reap the benefits of the money that is acquired or that I will have attained for the use of my land or on my land, and be able to buy or fix or whatever I want to do, or to pass it on to my children or grandchildren. And those things are very important. And people try and get in your face and try and act like, well, we can extend you some money, and then try to run a con about we want all our money back right away, but now we still need you to pay for 30 years or 40 years for some money that you never got. And that con is a con that they've run and try to play me out of pocket, and I'm trying to bring them to justice. And they'll say, well, that company went out of business. They went out of business because they're crooks, and they need to be brought to justice. That's what's going on. So it's not like I'm complaining, but a lot of white people or people that live in our neighborhood will have went to the bank, borrowed against their property. Any money that you borrow, that you use, that you have to pay back that amount of money based on how much money you borrowed and how you used it and how you're able to pay it back. But not trying to make some outlandish loan and then trying to say, well, now we're requiring all the money back, plus we want you to pay for the full uses of the money for years. Those are cons. And people know that. Everybody gets quiet because they know that me as a Negro, colored, black, African-American know there's nothing but a con. And they try to play me out of pocket, and that's what it's all about. And when I talk to lawyers, they try to hem-haw like they don't know what's going on. They know exactly what's going on, but they're trying to maintain their friendships or whatever they got going with this crooked society of crooks that they're trying to befriend, or want me to buy into, relinquish something that I own to bring things into perspective based on how to rob me. And I'm saying, oh no, I'm not going to do that. I want justice, full, total justice. And that's what I want. Not just for myself, but for everybody. So when you're watching this TV show, and I don't care what your race is, I'm saying stand up and be counted, but be real and talk from your heart. And don't be afraid of reprisals or people coming at you later on about silly stuff, because I go in and everywhere and I do whatever I want to do, as I've always done. And people try and do these silly stunts about trying to do evil things to me, but I resolve that stuff as time goes on. So that's what I want you to do, to be able to redo it, but quit shaking like a leaf in the winter wind, or peeing down your pant leg because you're trying to convey your thoughts and then feeling regretful or fearful that somebody might try and do harm to you for trying to get justice. Justice is important to all of us as human beings, and you all deserve justice. So that's what I'm talking about, and I'm just covering everything. How much time do we have, Brother Ron?
We're looking at about 12 minutes.
So we got 12 minutes down. I did cover a lot of information. I'm still trying to go after these people. I'll get some glasses, and then I'll be able to look at all my material and read to you people. But on Hulu and on on the internet and all the other good stuff, or Netflix. They have good shows about doing documentary shows, and that's what's very important, that you need these documents, and that people are telling you things exactly what's going on. So when people look at the America's trying to act like they're trying to act like it's trying to all for one and one for all. This is China right now. They're able to duplicate anything that all these rich people have, or that they're Gucci and all these different things that they have. They got people in China that are able to duplicate these items. And these are the kind of things that America is talking about. And these are like crimes, but something's out of control because it's a whole different country now. And that's where we sent all our deals when we illegally killed all those people on 9/11, and we sent all our stuff to China, or whatever we thought we'd get the best deal from. These people, they're doing a wonderful job, because in their country, they're beautifying their country. They built a wonderful dam, and they did all kind of big and bigger. When you would get a chance to look at that on YouTube or whatever you want to do, you'll get to see all the great things that they're doing in China. And they got tons of people doing things. And I'm just saying, they're just trying to have it. And they used to have a guy in Seattle, and he was making false money, $20 bills. He up to $1 billion worth of $20 bills that he had went and bought the paper, duplicated the money, and it looked like the real 20s. And that's why people to this day that they're marking it with an ink pen, but he had fixed it where they could mark his with an ink pen. They couldn't distinguish who was telling where his money was wrong or right. He had so closely studied what he had done and so perfected what he had done that he's still living in Canada, and he wasn't even put in prison. They let him out of prison to give up. He gave about a ton of money back to them, but all the talent he has, he's still alive and well and breathing. But I'm just saying that people will not do nothing, or he's not going to ever be put in prison or anything about that. And even though he was making American $20 bills and doing all kind of stuff and was moving forward, and they followed him, and finally he turned himself in, and they forgave him for everything. And you can find his show on the internet too. And so many shows that I was going to play you in the future, which I will play for you in the future. These are talking about things that are very germane to you. And when it talks about people in China, when they duplicate, they're such experts at being able to make things look exactly the way that it was originally, that if they may spell a word different or something like that. But it's just that has gotten so far out of hand as far as people manufacturing things and selling them to all over the country, all over the world. People are selling things and making money off of it. So if you got something very, very nicely and you're trying to be unique about it, well, believe me, they got other people can duplicate exactly, make a photocopy of what you've made and be able to sell that as a product. And then they're asking, well, people need to come forward and stop these people from doing all these evil things. That's the sad part about us. We're real quick about wanting to try and bring people to justice that are just saying, I'm just trying to eat. I'm just trying to have something. And I'm trying to make things possible for my family. And instead of bringing prices down in America, we're taking stuff out of the country, selling it or getting it made for $10 and bringing it back to the United States for $110 or whatever the case may be. And most people are saying, well, we can make the same thing and sell it for some reasonable price. So poor people are always looking for the best deal that they can get their hands on, and that's what's going on. But they got a lot of people making phony Viagra and all kind of phony stuff, and people are taking all these different pills and getting killed or dying. So there's a lot of things too, people that are making things that are detrimental to you, so you need to pay attention. But people will try and convince you that you need to try and separate yourself from people that are doing things when they're just trying to come up. They just trying to make a living for themselves and for their families. And that's the same about in Colombia, where they were burning people's whole fields down, putting poison on their property, or because they were trying to war on drugs. So the cocaine and all that different stuff, they were destroying people's chocolate plants, whatever they had. And when you're poor, and then the people that was growing these drugs, they were just using people's fields, but they were trying to dig out just a living for themselves. And now you went to their property and destroyed everything. And that's what's so sad. Poor keeps on getting poorer or worse, and rich people are just trying to figure out a way to keep their money going. And that's what's so sad. And we have this party that was in Mexico. He's in prison, but he's still running things. And it had this woman, she was going to do an interview on him, and she was a Spanish woman, and they were trying to make her feel bad about what she's doing. So I'm still going to do the interview, and he's back in prison. But it's just a fact that he's saying we're selling all these drugs to America because Americans are just like that. We eyes are bigger than our body, and we just want to smoke dope, get high, and most people think we're just creative geniuses because they're just not. They're not paying attention that they're going to reap what they sow. So you're doing terrible things, and you're spending big money, and no respect to person. But then when you're broke down and tore up from the floor up, that the realization kicks in. But if people are very poor and trying to get together, then through blessings, I just pray that you get it together and that things get better for you. And a lot of you Negro, colored, black, African Americans that have lived through the evil times, I'm happy for you that you're doing better and you're moving forward. And I know the horrible things that have happened to you, and my heart goes out to you, women and men. So I'm just saying, with poor education, people quitting school and getting their GED, and that's just a form of saying just get your general education. That means you know how to go and how to just do little general things. But if they want to take it to a higher level, then they have people that will help you take it to a higher level. But that's information in the books. But most people just want to get their diploma and get some. Just have a job to tweak out a little bit of money. They use that GED as a way of dismissing themselves from their responsibility to human beings. But you need to go to these good schools where people's minds are being nourished and cared for and are broadened and able to go into good positions in life and do great things. So how many minutes we have now, Brother Ron?
We're looking about 4 minutes.
So we got about 4 minutes. So again, Brother Steve, I'm so happy that you're here. And I want to thank you, Brother Steve. I know this Brother Ron Dorn. He's been with me for years. Steve, I don't know your last name, but I tell the people out in TV land if you let me. But he's laughing, so. And he's saying,
sometime in the future.
In the future, he'll give his last name, but he's a wonderful brother, and he's terrific. And I'm very thankful, Brother Steve, that you've been with me since Sister Ellie's left the country, and she's back now. And but I just greatly appreciate you, Brother Steve. And it's just a really, really wonderful feeling to have you come on this show and help us get our sound and all the other equipment working and get it up where we can do a great show for you people out there in cyberspace. You're welcome to come on, Pofo, Give Me Need for Justice. And Brother Steve, I want you to bring your, what was that group you were talking about? You say there were, could you say it again?
African Cultural Group.
African Cultural Group. And hopefully I'll have that, them on the show. And hopefully they'll bring a tape or they'll come on live. And that's what I would love for that to happen. And Brother Ron was, I was asking him about what's the progress of getting his wheelchair, because he's been working on that for a long. How long we're gonna over a year or 7 months? How long?
Oh yeah, well over a year.
Well,
possibly a year and a half, 2 years.
Amen. So here's let's try to get his wheelchair. And it's so sad because Brother Ron's my brother, and Here he is, a white man trying to get a chair that he deserves. He said, I'm 70-something years old. I deserve a wheelchair. My condition is that I need to be in a mobile wheelchair where I can move around. And they're going to have somebody talk to you?
Yeah, I'm supposed to get a call from, what was that word? Power Air or something like that. Air Mobility.
Yes, well, yeah, so that's what he's going to, Air Mobility is going to talk to him, and hopefully he'll get a wheelchair, a chair that he'll be able to be more mobile and be able to do his shopping and go everywhere he needs to go and not just be house ridden where society is trying to treat him like as long as you can make it from your bedroom to the living room,
Yeah.
well, then we can't help you. And he's saying, well, I deserve to have more done for me than that. And hopefully someone out there can get that done and make that and make that possible. So thank you very much, Brother Steve, and we'll get his last name on the air and talk to you people about Brother Steve. Thank you, Steve, and thank you, Brother Ron. I greatly appreciate you both. And Sister Ellie will be back next week, and we'll be on with the show. And hopefully great things I'll be able to report to you about me trying to sue for $16 billion. So I'm not just saying it to be saying it. I'm really seriously trying to sue these people and trying to bring them to justice. And if I win, that means you win as well, because I'll tell you about exactly how everything went and how everything came together and how God Almighty moved everything forward. Because that's what life is all about. It's about playing to win every single day. Play to win. Man, woman, or child. So, is that my minute about gone, Brother Ron?
Yeah, we're just about there. Here we
Okay.
go. Yeah.
Praise God.